life has a bunch of jokes it plays on us. Like, for example, we don't have the prefrontal cortex development you guys have heard about, where it doesn't actually your ability to plan and to think about the future isn't fully developed until, for guys, until we're at 25, girls until you're 21. And that doesn't mean, by the way, that you can't possibly do it. It isn't like all of a sudden one day a switch comes on and you're able to. It's it's gradual. You grow into that ability, but then like all of the decisions that we make that set us up for the rest of our lives happen before we have the ability to think about the rest of our lives. And then like the age at which it seems like maybe it's time to start like taking the hands off and like, okay, maybe let you live more of your life, make some of your own decisions, happens to be the age that the worst influences show up in our lives, which also plan us out for the future. Yeah, that's good. It's a bunch of weird cosmic jokes like that seem like they're getting played. At the very least, you got to acknowledge that God or nature, whatever your view is, it has a sense of humor. What else? I guess my curiosity is, what do you think about that view? How do I ask? I'll just tell you rather than ask if you know. So a good friend of mine is really into deafness. She's not deaf herself, but she really likes sign language. She likes deaf people. She hangs out with deaf people all the time. That's just like her thing. And she even went so far as to tell me that she wishes that someday she would have a deaf baby. Yeah, and that kind of, it worries me because sometimes people like get what they ask for, but sometimes people like create what they ask for, in some way. But anyway, so there's this movement in the deaf community, like for example, Thomas Edison, he was partially deaf. I'm sorry, his wife was deaf, and he was trying to, he was creating like the first hearing aids and all that. And there are people who were against it because they were saying, well, if you make it so people can hear, it sounds like what you're saying is that there's something wrong with deaf people, and that deaf people have to be fixed. Right, and so then there was this movement to stop that kind of stuff from happening, and you still see a lot of it today. And the same with like the idea of autism. They say, well, autism, if you suggest that it can somehow be cured, then that suggests that it's an infection in the first place, and therefore we should try to get rid of it. We should eradicate it. Same with like Down syndrome. If you suggest that there's something wrong with people who have Down syndrome or that it's a disability, then that suggests that it's something that's a deficiency. And if you think it's a deficiency, then you think that person's lesser than. All these kinds of crazy ass views that people will hold. What's that?
But then studies show that, like, I think you mentioned it as well, families who have members with Down syndrome, they tend to be a lot happier than those without it.
I don't know if I've mentioned the families, but certainly people with Down syndrome tend to be happier than people without. And then, so that begs that question, is what we're after happiness? And if it is, those are some of the happiest sons of bitches you'll ever see in your life, man. And it's funny because what makes them so happy? It's really funny if you really consider it.
I'll explain it.
That's true. If I understand what you're saying, that sometimes there will be people who really like having special needs people around because it makes them feel like they're a good person because they can kind of like zero in on them and take care of them. Yeah, you see a lot of that, man. It's like, oh, you need me to take care of you. It's one of the reasons that we treat students a lot of times the same way. Like the teachers will say, well, they're kids, they make mistakes, they just, but largely if you're doing something completely wrong. Not like you couldn't have known about the future, but if there's something right now that you know that you're doing wrong, we make mistakes, that's true, but you'll have people who kind of hover over because it gives them a sense of purpose and meaning. Like, oh, you need me to take care of you. You need me to step in for you. You guys know about I've mentioned the credits before in here, right? The graduation credits. 26 credits. Why? Well, because you guys need me. So anybody here feel like you need me? If we need me, we're in deep shit, man. If you need me, man, that's like the house is already on fire and the world around it's on fire too, man. If it gets to that point, we're already lost. But there are people who would like to step in because it makes them feel like they're needed. But there's something that especially people with Down syndrome don't, like there's a reason that people with conditions like that are so damn happy. And it's almost like comical because it's another one of those jokes that nature seems to play on us. Someone who has especially severe Down syndrome, how much do they understand about the economy and what's going on with the economy right now? Yeah, almost yes, next to nothing.
They live in their own world essentially.
Yeah, and what are they? And what's their own world like? They surround themselves. Yeah, sunshine and rainbows. Why though?
Because everybody around them is supporting them and always encouraging them.
Yeah, everyone around them loves them, supports them, accepts them. It's almost like you can make your own world sunshine and rainbows, even if the rest of the world is not. And if that's true, then it almost sounds like it's a choice that they have figured something out that the rest of us still haven't figured out. We're hyper concerned about things that are going on in the rest of the world that we have no control over. And we completely ignore the things in our lives that we do have control over. Like when I see people who, like once in a while you'll see these folks from Antifa who get arrested and they'll post their mugshots.
Oh, and use as a profile picture?
Yeah, but each of those people looks so incredibly unhappy. They're all like malnourished and they've done things to make themselves uglier, like stuck metal through their faces and tattooed their faces and done things to separate themselves from the world, to let the world know how much they hate their dads. I mean, how angry they are. And then they put them up there as their profile pictures eventually. But you look at them, and you ever see any picture of those guys and go, that looks like a happy person? Well, of course they're not happy. They've been arrested. Yeah, but before that, too, what they were doing, did they look like particularly happy people? No. And yeah, these are the people who are like adamant about the world changing. And yet they won't even sort themselves out and fix their own lives. There's so much that they could do to take control of their own lives, but they're so unhappy that their idea is, well, no, the rest of the world has to change to make me comfortable. I don't know if there's almost anything at all that's more narcissistic than that. I get caught up on that thing about what it is to have a good life, though. Like, for example, I was just talking to somebody during nutrition. I don't know if any of you guys are going to homecoming, but homecoming today is very different than it was, like, say, 10 years ago. I know I'm about to sound like old man Scanlon. It ain't like it used to be. But homecoming dance used to be right after the game, and it was held in the gym. So the game would be played, game would finish, and then there'd be like an hour between the end of the game and the beginning of the dance. So what that meant was that it wasn't like a super formal thing. There wasn't like this big like homecoming proposal thing where you had to ask someone to go. There wasn't like a separate venue that we had to pay to. So what are the tickets now for homecoming? Like $100 or whatever they are?
Damn.
Something like that, yeah. It didn't used to be that. It used to be like $20, $15, because you didn't have to pay for the venue. Plus, I mean, that's just a ticket plus getting your dress and all that stuff. So when we talk about like what it is to have a good life and why things are so expensive, the reason things are so expensive is because things are expensive. Like how much does it cost us to, good example. We used to have our graduation at the amphitheater down in Chula Vista. I don't know what it's called now. It used to be like the Coors Amphitheater, then it was the Sleep Train, it's been the Cricket Amphitheater. You know what I mean?
Oh, the North Island?
Is it North Island? Okay, North Island. So we used to have our graduations there. We used to pay $20,000 per school, per ceremony. Start doing the math on that, guys. 14 high schools. They weren't all held there. I think it was only like 7 or 8 of them were held there. All right, so do the math on that. Over $1 million for graduation every year. How much does it cost us to have graduation here?
No.
$0. For a while we used to have it at Southwestern. How much did it cost us to rent a field at Southwestern? $1, because they're considered in the district. And so, think about that. When we're spending that kind of money on a graduation, how expensive is graduation? And when we have it here, how expensive is it? If we have the homecoming dance at a separate venue, how expensive is it? Versus if we have it here in the gym. Now we said, and the gym kind of sucks though. That's true. Here comes old man Scanlon again. That's how they did it for 100 years. That doesn't mean that things don't change, but just understand that if things change in that direction, they become more expensive. That's when we start living for things and not for people. You take someone with Down syndrome and you ask them, hey, do you want to have your graduation at the North Island Amphitheater, or do you want to have it over here at the field? It doesn't matter. Are my people going to be there? Your people are going to be there. It doesn't matter then, because my people are going to be there. That's the important thing. It's not the where. As soon as you start adding more contingencies to it, that's when we become unhappy. I have to have this car. Oh my gosh, why are cars so expensive? There's a reason cars are so expensive, by the way. You ready? Here I go again. I remember when cars had carburetors and engines. Actually, I don't, but you get the idea. Cars used to just be a carburetor, a motor, and 4 tires and a steering wheel. Now, cars have all kinds. Like my car right now, it brakes for me if I'm not paying attention. If it decides that I need to stop, my car stops for me. I hate that, because sometimes you want to warn somebody, you know, but my car won't let me, you know, warn somebody. My car won't. If I'm turning to park, and my car thinks I'm going too fast to park, it throws the brakes on for me. It tells me if there's a car in the next lane. It stops me from changing lanes if I don't put my signal on. That's way more than a carburetor, a motor, and 4 tires. But then again, if you're driving a car with a carburetor, a motor, and 4 tires, and you slam into somebody else who's driving a car with a carburetor, 4 tires, and a motor, what are your chances of survival at 65 miles an hour?
None.
Yeah, almost none, dude, especially with no seatbelt. Right now, it's pretty rare for people to die in car accidents, unless you're doing something absolutely nuts, driving like 100 and something miles an hour.
Also how cars used to be manufactured and how they would barely get dented, but that turned out to be a safety hazard.
Yeah, exactly. Like right now, cars are designed to be totaled because that's how it turns out you're safest. Your frame is designed to collapse and absorb all the shock from the accident, which means your car is totaled, but you survive and you're way less injured than we used to be. That's why cars are so much more expensive. So the thing is that things become expensive because we increase our demands for them rather than focusing on the important thing. In other words, the more things that we make important, the more expensive everything becomes. And not just money-wise, but time-wise too. If you've got like 3 or 4 friends who are, you know, that's your tribe, how much time can you devote to those 3 or 4 friends? Versus if you have 50 or 100. Those relationships become way more shallow the farther out you go from that core. That doesn't mean necessarily get rid of all of your friends. It's just saying understand what the trade-offs are. Think about what a house used to be versus what a house is now. And isn't it interesting that when houses were less expensive, they had way more character than they have now? You guys ever go to the expensive neighborhoods and all the houses look the same?
Yeah.
It's like you're paying extra money to have a house that looks just like everybody else's, conformity and unity. You know, it's weird that the oldest neighborhoods have the best houses because each one was designed by an individual, by a person, and it reflects the character of the people who live there, and it reflects the character of the people who designed and built it. I don't know, I look at a house sometime, I just think, man, who designed that? Who built that? You know?
That had passion.
Yeah, you had to have had a passion for it. That means that someone didn't just sit there and go, let me design a square mile of houses that all look the same and operate the same. That's way more efficient. Versus someone who sat there and said, well, I don't know, the Williams or whoever have asked me to design them a house. Let me think about what they're like, what they need. And then you had to pour all of yourself and your own passion to that one thing. And that's why things are so disposable now. They don't have any soul. Music is disposable. Cars are disposable. The only thing that's not disposable, if we treat it correctly, are people. And yet we still sometimes treat people as though they're disposable as well. So what I'm saying is that how it is that you approach this, and that's why I was really fascinated to hear what you guys thought about this. Not just what he said, but what you thought about what he said. Because all of this is true. This is exactly his view. He believes that life is just suffering, and it's chaos, and it's distraction, and we're just trying to distract ourselves from the suffering of life. And he's what you refer to as an anti-natalist, which means he thinks that it isn't just that you shouldn't have children. He thinks it's immoral for you to have children. Children because when you bring a child into life, you're bringing them into a life of suffering, chaos, distraction, anchoring, and eventual demise, destruction. He thinks that there's this weird paradox where as humans, we're able to think of ourselves and to think about the future abstractly, and yet he feels like the more abstractly we think, the more suffering we encounter, and we're the only animal on the planet that does it. That's a really negative view. And if you think about it, how would a person like that behave if they really do hold that view? Because how you think about people always impacts how it is that you treat them. Yeah. If you think people are fragile and weak, how do you treat them? Hi. Okay, I come in here today. Hi, guys. How are you all feeling today? Let me see your hands. How many of you are feeling good? How many of you are feeling, not quite so good? And how many of you have room to improve? Oh, I noticed someone, you don't look so well. Let me take you outside and ask you how you're doing and check up on you. How would you guys feel about me at that point?
Someone's got you by the balls.
Yeah, exactly. You feel like someone's got something on me. Oh, someone's blackmailing Scanlon. And yet instead, I talked to you the way I talked to you last time that you were in here. Why did I talk to you like that? Because I don't think you're weak. I don't think that you're fragile. I don't think lesser of you. I don't think that you need me to, in your life. That me coming in here makes your day infinitely better if I'm just, hi, how are you? If I do that, I think lowly of you, man. I talk to you like I talk to everybody else in life, for better or worse. That's because I respect you like I respect anybody else in life. If I treat you like this, then that means I think lesser of you. I don't respect you quite the way that I should as a human being. So how it is that you see people entirely impacts how you treat them. If you see people and children in life as a disease, that's how you're going to treat them. If you approach your life as though you have Down syndrome and that the most important thing in your life are the people around you that you love, that small little world of rainbow and sunshine. The world can be rainbow and sunshine even if it's storming outside. If I talk to you long enough, which I'm not going to do, but if I talk to you long enough, it will be raining outside. We'll be in here, we'll be warm and dry. This world right here, this is the one that we can control. What happens outside is going to happen outside. And I can get you ready as best as I possibly can. I've told you, we talked about that story of the Garden of Eden before in here, right? Yeah, and there were serpents in the garden. Yeah, there are serpents in the garden. We don't make the world safer for you by coming in, hi guys, let me attend to every single one of your needs. Because then I'm treating you as though you're weak. And then I'm throwing you out into a world weak. And then I can sit here and go, good person. I am a good person because I was kind and compassionate, which actually we're not. We're not. So it doesn't mean to be mean to people, it means to be firm, what they need, and take care of the things in your own life, in your own world, as best as you possibly can, and hopefully anyway, help other people do the same for their lives, their worlds.
Tough love.
Tough love, yeah, but by the way, tough love requires that second part. Love, yeah. And you guys have coaches that give you tough love? I've had coaches who gave me tough love, and I had coaches who gave me tough, period. End of story. I had a coach in community college, my community college baseball coach. This guy, I could tell you stories about this guy all day long. It was funny because he would go off on us, and at one point he was talking to us about, like my therapist was telling me, I have to be more, and he dropped little things in there like that, where you'd be like, your therapist? And he was telling us one time, he's like, I understand what you guys go through. When I was playing college ball, I was ordered to take anger management. And one of the things I picked up, you were ordered to take anger management? That sounds like you got arrested for a felony, and you had to, and the judge made you,
Somebody, parole officer told you to take a look.
Exactly. Like the parole officer told me, wait, you're parole officer? Don't worry about it, that's not important. What's important here is he had all kinds of things, and this guy was off the wall. I don't think this guy cared about anybody but himself. I didn't think he cared about himself. I think he was trying to give himself a heart attack. Yeah, someone from my another period brought that up, not with this quote, but with a different one. And it creates like this cycle and this loop of need and dependency. What's that?
The paradox?
Yeah. It's this paradox of it that I'm going to help you, but by helping you, I'm not really helping you. So who am I helping? Me. Now you need me. I create a program that now you need and you're dependent on. That means you have to vote for me because you need me to keep this program going. If you don't vote for me, that program is going to end and you will die. So vote for me. The smiling face in the suit. Others. Yeah.